What's going on, guys? My name is Triforce Addiction. Welcome back to another COD mode video. So today I do want to discuss the newest weapon that is coming out for Season 1 on Wednesday night. Obviously in US time if you are there. But yes, this is something that I have not made in a while. Usually I review weapons the moment it comes out, or at least after I get Damascus. But it has been a while that I've made a video talking about the weapons before they are actually available to the public. One thing to note is that I did want to make this video before the update came out, but given that this type of weapon, of obviously the LW3 Tundra, is a Cold War sniper, I wanted to make a video like once I was sure what the attachments were, because yes, I kind of had a feeling that this was going to be a very, very different type of sniper rifle. When you compare gunsmiths in this game, there are two different types of gunsmiths. One that is kind of representative of the Modern Warfare series type of gunsmith, and there is another one for the Black Ops Cold War series of weapons. I would say that the Modern Warfare gunsmith is kind of like the default. Keep in mind, when Gunsmith first came out, Modern Warfare 2019 was really the only type of gunsmith that they could actually base it off of. It was the only game at the time that had gunsmith. This, of course, was back in Season 9 of 2020, where Modern Warfare 2019 was still the mainline COD of that year. It wasn't until later on down the line where Black Ops Cold War became a thing, and their gunsmith style was a little bit more different from Modern Warfare, given the fact that there was a lot less downsides, which, of course, came at the pleasure of a lot of players that were kind of still adjusting to the gunsmith feel. A lot of people didn't like the Modern Warfare gunsmith, so that's why the Cold War gunsmith is a lot different than what we had in Modern Warfare. And for the first time ever, we ended up getting that type of gunsmith style with the Peacekeeper. That was the very, very first weapon, and it was a Black Ops weapon that actually came out with the Cold War style gunsmith. So it was kind of like an experimental thing at the time. But, over time, we've gotten a lot more Cold War weapons, and even just like Black Ops 3, Black Ops 4 weapons that work with the Cold War gunsmith. We have weapons such as the Dingo, the OTS-9, the MAC-10, and so on. And so far, a lot of people have had pretty positive opinions, given the fact that Cold War gunsmiths usually have a lot less downsides compared to Modern Warfare gunsmiths, where like everything is a downside. Cold War gunsmith is basically notorious for letting players become a little more choosy, or at least have a little bit more freedom when it comes to choosing what type of gun they want to build, because again, there's none of them really provide major downsides to the point where it will hinder your gun completely. And so, it brings us today where we are now with the LW3 Tundra, which is going to be the sniper rifle that gets released for this season. So this is actually the very, very first sniper rifle to add full-on Cold War gunsmith integration. And keep in mind, we've had a lot of Black Ops snipers in the past. We've had the Koshka, we've had the Outlaw, we had the Locust, and we've even had the ZRG from Cold War itself. But even with that sniper rifle, they just had the basic gunsmith. But with the LW3 Tundra, all the attachments are Cold War related, even down to the stocks. I want to make the video mainly because I want to see whether or not this gun would actually be a problem. And once I had the ability to test it, I do have to say it might actually be an issue given how it's balanced right now. A lot of people on Twitter have already said that this is probably going to be one of the more overpowered snipers. And it's mainly because of one section of the attachments, which of course is the barrel. So obviously with most snipers, they usually have a marksman barrel and even maybe sometimes a suppressor barrel. But, for the most part, they don't have barrels that would actually increase the fire rate. The only other sniper type weapon that I could think of that does that is mainly the SPR or the MK2. There's bolt attachments for the SPR as well as different types of... It's like a .30 rounds for the MK2 that makes the weapon a little bit weaker but a lot faster when it comes to shooting and just overall ADS speed. But with this one, it's a little bit different because the barrel is the one that basically decides whether or not you have a faster fire rate. From what I understand, just based on, I'm just editing the video, I'm not even actually looking at the game right now, there are two, I believe, that actually do increase your fire rate. One by like over 20%, and then there's another one that also does the same thing, but just of course a little bit less boost for the fire rate, but it does have properties that help with multipliers mainly. But given that this sniper is already strong as it is, it doesn't really matter. The one that increases the multipliers won't actually have any bearing, at least in multiplayer, on where basically you could one shot. It's not going to change it so that you could just one shot anywhere. It's more or less going to be the same. I think that barrel is mainly for BR. So the one barrel that I am referring to, the one that might be a problem in multiplayer, is called the Hammer Forge barrel. So basically what this does, it increases your fire interval by 23%, making it way faster than it probably should be. The only downsides, I mean, if you consider these downsides at all, is only the fact that you lose 3% recoil control as well as 10% aiming crosshair drift, and that's basically it. There's no major downsides for this at all. And that's the concerning thing. When you actually shoot it in the training room, if any of you guys have already tried it out, you would know that that thing is just absolutely fast, almost to the point where I would say it's maybe as fast as, I would say almost to the point where it's, I guess, the MK2 with like those .30 rounds. Maybe that's a bit of an exaggeration, but around that area, or at least around the Outlaw. So while the fire rate is good, of course, the next question is how fast is it going to scope in? Basically pretty fast. Keep in mind, there's not really a lot of attachments. If anything, I think the only thing that really increases your ADS speed is just the grip tapes, and that's basically it. There's no stock or barrel that actually increases your ADS speed. The rest just extend your bullet speed, but of course I think most of those barrels obviously are for Battle Royale. But again, the grip tapes are really the only ones that increase your ADS speed. It's kind of restricted just like the HDR was. But even then, the ADS speed is actually faster than most snipers in the game. I would say it kind of rivals either the Koshka or the Outlaw. Or either way, I mean, they're kind of all just interchangeable in terms of ADS speed. And that's probably the more concerning part. Despite the fact that you do have a much faster fire rate compared to those other snipers, it's also the fact that you get to aim in really fast, so you could just keep following up over and over and over again immediately. Fire rate usually isn't important for most snipers, given that most of them have a pretty similar fire rate, and honestly, that's what kind of restricts most of these guns. That's why people fast switch all the time, because it basically turns your gun into kind of like a semi-auto. That's what lets people basically shoot a little bit faster with a DOQ or an Outlaw or something along those lines, especially with the HDR. If the HDR had the fire rate of like the Outlaw, like everyone would be screwed. It would be like the only weapon that anyone would ever use. So fire rate does matter with snipers, despite what a lot of people actually think. But when both the fire rate and the ADS time are extremely fast, you could only imagine how that's going to turn out. Another thing we do have to keep note of is the fact that it doesn't have very restrictive one-shot areas. The one-shot areas are actually very, very generous, and across the map, if you want to, you could actually just one-tap to the stomach, or as low as that part, and you're basically going to get a one-shot kill every time. So when it comes to every season, there's usually a grace period where not everyone has the weapon yet. For me, usually I just buy my way to tier 21 so I could just grind out the weapon immediately. And good news about this sniper is that you could actually grind Ether Crystal for this sniper. This is something that I have actually never seen before. Usually, especially with tournament camos, you know, usually the second weapon within the second, I guess, season before a major update, they usually don't have a tournament camo for that one or any seasonal camo at all. But this is the first time that I've ever actually seen the game get updated to have any sort of seasonal camo for a new gun from a mini update season. So once I do get diamond for the weapon, obviously I'm going to go grind out the Ether Crystal, and yeah. So from the looks of it, as we start off the new year for Season 1, we are going to start off, of course, pretty strong, but at the same time very toxic if everyone decides to use the sniper. If you guys seen FaZe Jez videos during the Cold War era, you guys would, know how the weapon functions. For me personally, I never got around to finishing the snipers in Cold War. But, you know, the LW3 Tundra was actually one of the go-to quickscoping weapons, alongside the Pellington, which is a sniper that might come to the game at some point. Maybe during year 5, I'm not really that sure. Maybe year 6, I'm not too certain about that. But yeah, it brings into question, there's like a lot of snipers in that game that we could, bring into this one. So yeah, that's something to keep in mind. And also, we're still missing the AX-50 from Modern Warfare, so there's also a chance that we could also get that sniper as well. So we got to watch out for that. But anyways, I hope you guys have a wonderful day. Make sure to leave a like. Make sure to subscribe for some more COD mobile content. And I'll see you guys next time.